Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
For every veteran, there is a story about a calling to serve, to fight for the freedoms of the American people. And every story has a struggle, a sacrifice, and invisible wounds. Warrior Watts programs help veterans recover from PTSD and invisible wounds through exercise, nutrition, and connecting with other veteran leaders. It is estimated that 22 veterans die each day by suicide, and another 30 veterans die each day by substance abuse. These are preventable deaths. Warrior Watt is committed to fighting PTSD through fitness, nutrition, and community.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation. The MisFitNation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFitNation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches. We love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the MisFitNation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the MisFitNation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, Stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the MisFitNation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the MisFitNation. It's our Thursday after dinner show. Thank you for taking some of your time tonight to hang out with us. I know the semifinal is on with Notre Dame and Penn State. It's deep in my heart not watching the game right now, but I know Notre Dame is doing great. So let's keep up the positive vibes, the positive momentum. We do have another bad news story, of course. Prayers out to those in Los Angeles with the fires. It's a horrible situation out there. Watching basically helpless first responders with 100-mile-an-hour wind trying to fight a fire. That's insane to say the least. But we also lost a Deputy Sheriff Timothy Corlew from Riverside County Sheriff's Department in California. His end of watch was yesterday, January 8th, 2025. So keep all of Los Angeles, and especially his family, friends, and peers in your thoughts and prayers as they go through a very tough time right now with the fires and with the loss of the deputy. Tonight we have a great guest coming to us from Australia. So another guest from Australia. So this is awesome. She's a transformational online business coach, redefining the coaching industry. From building a 7-figure software company to pioneering scalable, wisdom-driven business models. She shares her journey of blending spirituality, technology, and business. Discover how she helps entrepreneurs create thriving online academies, monetize their expertise, and embrace AI to amplify success. So without further ado, let's welcome Mary Henderson to the Misfit Nation. Welcome, Mary.
Hi, Rich. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm really excited about today's interview with you. So thank you for having me.
It's awesome to have you here. And I always think it's great when I am able to connect with people from so far away from tomorrow, really. You're in the future. So it's great to have you here. And if you have any stock tips, anything you know what's going on, please share it with the Misfit Nation as we go through tonight.
All right.
So, Mary, I gave basically a 2, maybe 3 sentence in a bio on you there. If you don't mind, tell us a little more about you from as far back as you want to go to how we got here today.
Wow, my goodness. I always say to my clients, never talk about your entire timeline. Just start at one point and then take it from there. So I think that's what I'll do, Rich. I think I'll start. I'm just going to give you a very quick 1-paragraph, description. But I think that one of the reasons we're here today, because I think both of us share an aligned belief around spirituality and business and entrepreneurship. And I think that they are 2 sides of the same coin. And for me, my entrepreneurial journey actually started in 2005, coming from a corporate background in the tech industry, very masculine driven, very power based. It was all about the win, win, win. And my body just shut down. I was on a plane twice a week. I was just, go back and forth, fulfilling somebody else's dream, of course. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just that, you do have to, as an adult at some point, say to yourself, hey, I have God-given gifts and I have a God-given design. And at what point in my life am I going to activate that? And for me, that was 2005. So I built 2 tech startups. And then I basically just fell apart in 2012. I took a 12-month sabbatical, sold my tech software company. And I was like, well, okay, what do I do now for the rest of my life? And I really, really am passionate about wisdom and protecting it, but I'm also passionate about activating our internal gifts and also our experiences in both professional and personal. And the question I had for myself is, how do I activate that? How do I package that and take that to the world and then help other people? And the twist in my story, if you will, is in 2012, when I did hit rock bottom after selling my software company, I did really, and I genuinely walked to my computer and I Googled, how do I change my life? It was the lowest point in my life. On the external, people were like, oh, you're so successful. You've done this. But on the inside, I was empty. And then I got myself this amazing mentor, Rich, which really opened my eyes to really going down that rabbit hole, if you will, of who I am as a spirit, not as a physical manifestation of my spirit. It was more around like, who am I? Like, how do I get closer to my true self? And that really set me off on this amazing spiritual journey. And as my mentor used to say to me, I can give you all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't experience it, it's just more information. And Rich, all of the stuff that I've learned over the years, it's amazing that what you learned 10 years ago, you experience 10 years later, but it has to be like that. So in a nutshell, I think that the way I really, bring my unfair advantage, if you will, maybe my uniqueness, whatever you call it, is just that connection or the package, if you will, of spirituality, strategy, entrepreneurship, and AI. And how do I merge that together and make it delicious? And so hopefully that's answered the question.
It does. That's a good way to put it. How do you make that delicious with all that stuff, everything going on? People are so afraid of AI due to unknown fears. Basically, we're watching too many sci-fi movies, I guess, and AI is really scaring probably half the population of the planet, while the other half saying embracing it with like things like Chat GPT or anything. And there's a lot of other tools out there besides Chat GPT now, but there's so many things you can do with AI to enhance your business, to enhance your life. How did you start to embrace it?
Oh, 100%, Rich. I love that. I'm so glad you've started there because you're absolutely right. I think that there's two schools of thought. There's a lot of people that are using AI to cut corners, to stop the thinking process. It's like, oh, if I get AI, it can do all my marketing, it can do all my content, it can do all my customer service. And yes, it can, absolutely. But the human element of AI is critical. We have to remember that AI mimics humanity. It's not the other way around. Okay. AI needs humans in order for it to function and survive. So
Right.
if we understand that, then the next part for me was I have really smart frameworks because I come from a software background. So naturally, I think like an algorithm. So a lot of my frameworks are very algorithm driven. So the question I asked myself is, hey, could I use AI to help expedite the outcomes that my clients are my clients get when they work with me, based on the specific steps, rather than spending days, hours, weeks? Could we do it in minutes? And that's how I started to explore AI, so it can work to my advantage, and then of course to my clients' advantage. It's how do we give AI a framework, tell it to work with that framework only, input the data, tell it to only work with that data, and how do we actually get it to help us organize and create an intelligent outcome that gives my clients unfair advantage. And because of that, Rich, I have been able to collapse my coaching, my group coaching programs that were 12 months to 12 weeks to now 4 weeks.
Wow.
It's just mind blowing. So that's the speed that if we can feed it what we need, it's a game changer.
It's like putting fuel in your car. So you put fuel in your car, it's able to go. You put information into whatever database to create the AI. The AI will give you an answer or a solution possible to your problem. And I think the disconnect is where people watching too many TV shows, basically, and thinking that the world's going to end if they press enter, and or that someone's always watching them and things like that. And I think you just explained that very well.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. I think that, unless you're, unless you, I think also, Rich, you have to have a purpose for it. Because what I see a lot of, and you see this all the time, I know you do, everyone's trying to create mass amounts of content using AI tools to be famous for being famous. But I mean, that's not the goal. The goal of AI, we have to remember again, it mimics humanity, not the other way around. So so I think that the misuse is in this ideology that if I create copious amounts of content, for example, or get AI to create a dumbed down course, then I can trick people and I can become rich overnight. But actually, that is actually not the right way, because then you start to kind of, it's almost like AI becomes your god, and then you kind of lose yourself in this relationship with what AI is. And I don't know about you, but for me, AI is just my research partner,
Yeah.
period. There's nothing more, nothing less. It's just my research partner.
And I'll put in the words I think are good to make like a description for the show. I'll put in as much as I can in there and say make it smaller and make it pop. And that's all I use it for. I don't try to make it write a whole book for me or do the whole show. I know there's people that do it for the cover art, do it for everything. I go on Canva and play with that until I go numb with my eyes, go blind to watching Canva, and say I can't do this. This is for young people, and I let someone else do it for me and make it look good. But I understand the value of it, and I understand I guess the nuance of people wanting to use it to be that awesome creator or content creator.
think we have to put a line in the sand and just understand what is our purpose in life, and I think that I actually feel that a lot of people don't actually ask those deep questions. And also the other thing I want to just mention here is one of the things that I think that we all should have as our starting point is to really truly understand, what does my natural state of being actually look like, and unpack that and take that information and apply that to these tools, because that's all you have, really. I can't really be you, Rich, and you can't be me, because we've had different life experiences. So and also that's the whole point, isn't it, that we're all unique, that I can bring my uniqueness to the table, you can bring your uniqueness to the table, and share our wisdom with a larger audience. I don't think AI can do that. It can't replicate my experience, my lived experience. So I think that that's a really important point.
Very important point. And I think we started this on the AI because that's easy. That's the easy button, I think, to start on AI. But you have a lot more on the table than just AI. You have your academy, you have your entrepreneurial skills, you have your ups and downs of life until you started doing what you're doing now. Your approach truly uniquely integrates spirituality with cutting edge technology like AI. How do you balance these seemingly contrasting elements to create an impactful and scalable business solution?
Rich, that's an awesome question, because I think that with entrepreneurship, we've all been in some area, or at some point in our life, we have believed that entrepreneurship is all about the hustle. It's all about the doing. It's the more you do, the more you're going to get. And I actually don't believe in that philosophy. But, it took me a long time to actually, take a step back and think, I'm hustling like never before, but it's actually not getting me the results that I want, right? So I'm hustle, hustle. I'm seeing all my friends, my colleagues, my acquaintances hustle, hustle, hustle. No one's actually getting rich quick.
Right.
So there's something wrong with that model in my mind. So I really started to spend a lot of time. I'm not a self-help advocate at all. Okay. So it's not because I don't believe in it. I just think that self-help keeps you in loops and lies. It's a door opener, but I feel that it keeps people in loops and lies. I went the other way. I decided that I need to spend time in silence, and in absolute silence. And whether it's 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, I need to go to that place where I can actually hear the subtle messages that have been sent and downloaded to me. We can call that the universal energy. You can call it God, whatever label you want to give it. For me, it is a relationship with God. So that's just that's for me, that resonates with me. But when I started to do that, I really started to unravel these ideologies that were just ideologies. Because if something's not working, we have to ask why. And then when I went the other way and I started to balance this notion around spirituality, spending time in silence, taking note, unpacking those ideas, the notes, the downloads that I was getting, questioning those, took me deeper and deeper and deeper. I think in your promo, you've got a program where you talk about the power of intimidation, the root of intimidation. And I love that study. I've really spent a lot of time in that space, because I also believe that that's an ideology. We just keep buying all these ideologies that create the veil. So the key to me and entrepreneurship is to remove the veil as much as we possibly can. And this is a day by day process, but it does require silence. And when you're in silence, it means that you're not doing, you're just being, you're in stillness. And does it mean that you don't take action? Absolutely, it does. But it's strategic action, it's focused action, it has an end goal action. It's not just random stuff. Oh, I'm going to go on AI, do 40 posts, and I'm going to look like a rock star. No, I don't need to do that. So I had to go into that place of stillness, Rich. Do you know that's really scary, actually, because it's the unknown. It's like, whoa, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm just sitting here. It's like I'm wasting time. But the more I got into stillness, the more I realized that was the way. And something that they don't teach us at school, unfortunately. I wish that they did, but they don't. I think that this is the unraveling of understanding who you are at your core.
Definitely 100%. And I know here in in the States, if you say you're spiritual or spirituality, people kind of they shy away from saying anything with spirituality. And I think it's also just like AI, it's a misunderstanding. It's a misconception of what spirituality really is. They think that you're going to try to sell them things about what you believe in as far as a higher being instead of what you believe in as far as taking care of things or maybe meditating or something like that. It's all your spirituality, and I think it hurts some people in their business endeavors to not explain or at the top of their lungs that yes, we have a spirituality approach to our business.
You know what, Rich? I feel very passionate about what I'm about to say. Knowledge is truly power. It really
Yes.
is. And if we don't understand spiritual knowledge, I think that we actually never reach our destination and our absolute like fulfillment of our core dreams. Because until I started to tap into that knowledge, everything changed for me. Everything shifted. Like my reality was breaking down, in chunks by the day. And as scary as that seems and sounds and looks, at the same time, I had the faith that it was happening for all the right reasons. And and what I realized is that we live in an inverted world. Everything is inside out, upside down, left is right, right is left. It's all inverted. So you just made a very valid point. People are scared of spirituality, but they're not scared of AI, or they're not scared of actually doing something against their will, their soul. They'll go ahead and they'll say yes to things that deep down intuitively they know it's wrong. So
Mhm.
my thought process is why everything that we've had to learn ourselves, we've had to unlearn the lie, which is why I call it loops and lies. So society has done an amazing job at making us believe that the only way you can make money is go to university, for example. That you're a good person if you get A's and B's at school. That means you're really smart and you're a good citizen, of the world. Then we go to university. Oh, they tell you this is the only way you can make money. It's ironic to me that all the billionaires in the world, none of them have a degree. None of
Right.
them. So we have to ask these questions, right? And the other thing is that why is it, Rich, that you and I have had completely different life experiences? There's no one in the world that's had a replica of a life experience. It's like a thumbprint. We also have a soul print. Our experiences are completely different. So we have to ask, why is that as well? So when people shy away from talking about spirituality, which, by the way, New Age has done a great job of re-languaging spirituality into
Right.
New Age language, kind of normal language, right? It's like, oh, yeah, I'll meditate. But when you say prayer, it's like, oh, no, I don't pray. But do you meditate? Yes, I do. Well, that's prayer. you know? So it's kind of, I'm just saying that, but we shy away from things when we really should be stepping head to head and asking much more pragmatic questions.
Definitely 100%. And one of my friends, he did I think a whole week. He did a every day he did his post on spirituality to try to poke the bear, to get people to understand that it's a good thing, not a bad thing. And the reactions were, it was mixed like with everything, but just to see him do it just so he can get those reactions was enlightening to me, just to watch what he does. He does every week, he does a different keyword and tries to get the reaction from all his listeners, all his anyone that watches it. I think that's what we need more of, people actually stepping out in front of a camera and doing it and speaking and to try to get that reactions. And maybe, like you said, knowledge is power. Educate people and get them to understand things.
Absolutely. And I want to share with you, just through the years that I've been coaching people, 99% of the people that I coach are over 40, probably even 45. And so what I found is that a lot of people, when they start their entrepreneurial journey, I always use the analogy of a glass. And if you look at an empty glass, when you're born, it's empty, it's pure, it's vivacious, it's dynamic, it's creative. Manifestation happens just like that. Then you get to 10 and the glass fills up, then 20, 30, 40. By the time you get to 50, that glass is full of thoughts, beliefs, ideologies, paradigms, emotions, all of the stuff that we're carrying. So the glass is constantly full. So what do? We want to start our entrepreneurial journey. We go and read, we go and do strategies, we go and hustle, I do it ourselves, because we can solve every issue, because that's what we've been made to believe, that you've got to do it on your own. And so what happens is that all this information is not flowing in, it's actually flowing out, it's spilling out. And so people would work with me and then they would finish their journey with me. And I used to find it like really puzzling. Why do some of them go absolutely become rock stars, successful, they're just on their trajectory, while others, no matter what they do, Rich, they just can't make it work? And
Right.
I really got curious about this. And that's when I realized, oh my God, they're coming into me with a glass full, trying to, make a get rich quick scheme, which I don't sell that sort of stuff. I'm an implementer. And so what I decided to do is that in my my group coaching, what I always start everything off by going deep into that cleansing process. It's like you got to empty your glass before you start to implement this information, because your body cannot handle it. So, and you could call that spirituality, you could call that new age. I don't care what people call it. I just discovered a way to actually unpack that noise and that stuff that's residing in my brain, my mind, my body, my spirit. I want it out, because if I'm going to bring new information in, I have to also take radical action to get results. You can't achieve that if the glass is overflowing with more information.
Exactly. And if you keep, like you said, overflowing, you're not going to keep anything. You're just going to have what the last thing said, basically. It'll be the last thing you heard, the last thing that's on your mind. So you'll lose a lot of what's actually good there. And I think what you're doing, what you did with the academy, going from the long term down to now, you said 4 weeks, that's amazing. And taking it out of the one to one element into basically the academy element to learn. How
Yes.
was that transition for you, and how did you come about that?
Oh, Rich, that's the best thing I did. And I think that comes back to my background, because that was our software company that I owned, basically built membership systems for the academic sector. So essentially, I've been building online academies since 2005. It's really all I know how to do, and last year I really thought about this, in a lot of detail. And I thought, I want to reinvent the meaning of owning a coaching or a consulting business. And instead of actually spending all my time doing one-on-one, which I haven't been doing a lot of one-on-ones probably for the last 3 years. It's more around selling, self-study programs. But last year I got really serious and I thought, I want to be 80% of my revenue, I want it to come from self-study programs and 20% from high touch. And that's what I did. I've, basically deconstructed my academy. And now I've got about, I think it's 12 or 13 self-study programs. But the key is with self-study programs is they have to be experiential. They can't just be packaged Zoom calls and and it's all more information. That's the point, that my self-study programs are outcome, results, and transformation driven. That's the outcome of it, rather than consumption of information they will not work. So what I found, and this is really interesting, is that the people that bought my self-study programs, on average, they're buying 2 self-study programs, but it's so easy to then move them into my 4-week group coaching, which is called the incubator. So that one client is buying 2 or 3 products from me all the time. It's
Wow.
so interesting to me. And that means, Rich, that my discovery calls have almost disappeared. I hardly do any discovery calls. I don't do any pick your brain sessions. What I do is I get people to go straight to a sales page and you buy. So what does that mean? I also discovered that I'm only interested in talking to problem aware people. I'm not going to talk to pain aware, unaware people that want to stay in victim mode. You're not my customer. My customer is ready to take radical action and make change in their life. And I think that for me, that shift has been unreal. And that's what I'm trying to normalize for other people as well.
Outstanding. And we got a question from the audience already, from at Animal Guy 9. What are the key principles behind building a thriving self-study program, and how does it transform the traditional coaching paradigm?
Oh, what a great question. So let's break this down, because this is where I think that we really need to understand the fundamental frameworks. A self-study program, as I said, doesn't start from, oh, what can I create and package and sell as a self-study program or an offer, or whatever language people decide to use. It actually starts by building a very solid foundation first. And when I'm working with my clients, the way that we unpack all of this is we unpack all of their life experience, and then we convert that into what I call the macro solution. You can call it a signature solution, you can call it whatever you like, but it is the foundation of where we go from there. The second part from there is to understand who are my avatars. Now, this is a different language than niching down. Niching down is putting yourself in a box and saying, I'm only going to target people that are tradespeople who've got this problem, and that's going to be my audience. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's just that when you're an industry expert, or you have accumulated 20, 30, 40, 50,000 hours in your area of specialization, that tells me immediately solve a complex problem, and you can make that complex problem very simple, which means that anyone in any industry needs that problem solved. Okay, so you don't have to niche yourself. We actually talk avatars in my world. So typically I would say that there are 5 avatars that we sell to. Each avatar has a different need, want, and desire. So understanding your audiences is fundamental, because that will also help you then go into the next part 3, creating micro and nano self-study programs that require 0 one-on-one coaching. Once you've identified your avatars, then you can actually understand what is the problem that these people need solved. From there, we create a customer journey path, which is critical, because this is how we get that one customer to buy 2 or possibly 3 self-study programs, or you can move them into your high ticket program. But the customer journey needs to be strategic and deliberate. You can't just say, I'm going to create this offer and then next week I'll do, but there's no connection. So there's that part as well. And then, of course, we need to have our email nurturing sequences. I typically will only do an email nurturing sequence for 7 days. If in that 7-day period somebody hasn't bought to the next logical step, then it means that there's no urgency. So I'm not going to go and spend 50, 60 days trying to hammer that person to buy it. If they don't want it in 7 days, they don't want it right. Doesn't mean that I can't sell them something else next month. And I think this is the key, Rich. It's the content strategy. The content strategy is critical, because this is where we have to dial in messaging and really understand how to start a conversation with the problem aware avatar. And it's absolutely, it's a game changer. The psychological triggers that you want to incorporate in your content. But here's the thing. I think that with content and messaging, it's not about, and I wrote a post about this yesterday. Know, like, trust is now replaced with know, love, buy. Completely different, approach. How to is now replaced with how I. So the content has changed from let's just do what the gurus tell us to do to I'm just going to talk about my experiences, and that's it, because that's all I've got. And that is a game changer. So that's kind of the stack. Hopefully that makes sense. And then, of course, you need to house the self-study programs. And there are so many options to do that, from your Kajabis to cloud services to actually hosting it yourself. I actually host mine myself, because my ultimate goal, especially when I'm working with clients, is to build an academy that can be acquired in 3 to 5 years. So there is a very specific way that we create those type of academies so they can be ready for acquisition. So hopefully that answers the question.
I think it did. They haven't said anything bad yet, so I'm sure it answered what they wanted, what they were looking for. We got another question in
Awesome.
there. Something I don't even think we've talked about much yet, but here we go. How can entrepreneurs ensure their offerings are authentic and resonate deeply with their audience? And that's from at Jen E. DeBlock on X.
Perfect. Okay, the first thing about authenticity and your offerings is this, and this is the biggest takeaway that I can give you, is when you're creating an offering, it's actually first and foremost, it's not based on your avatar or your audience. That's actually the effect of the cause. The first step is to create offerings that are only based on your experience. In other words, that it's your natural state of being. You have actually experienced what it is that you're selling, because it's so much easier to sell that with conviction. And then once you've done that, then you actually decipher, okay, who actually needs this problem solved that I know how to do with ease and grace? And this is where we have a big problem with AI. People going into AI saying, oh, just create me an offer on how to make Instagram reels go viral, for example. But if I have not experienced that, how am I going to sell it? It doesn't make sense. This is what people are doing. Only sell what you can do for sure. Trust me, there is so much opportunity, even just for the most micro nano solution that you know how to do inside out. There's a massive audience waiting to solve that wants that problem solved. So always start from a place. When you talk about authenticity, what that means for me is you can do it for sure. You know how to solve that problem for sure. And that's the process that you want to unpack.
Outstanding. I felt your passion in that answer. That was awesome, actually. I think
Thank you, Rich.
the questioner will actually love that the answer, and I think that'll keep them engaged and make them get pumped up to start their own entrepreneurial journey if they're not already on it. So thank you for that answer. That
I
was,
love it.
amazing. And speaking
I
of
love it. I love it.
the entrepreneurial spirit, is that something that was in your family dynamic before you started, or were you the first one to be an entrepreneur?
I was the first one to be an entrepreneur, Rich, and I knew that from the day I was 5. Like, I was so clear on that trajectory. And you know how I knew that? I want to make you laugh. Like all my sister, my cousins, my friends, all the kids at school when they were 5, they were all into Barbie dolls and all that sort of stuff. And all I ever wanted to play with were calculators. That's all I wanted when I was a kid. I would be crunching numbers from the age of 5, So that kind of tells you, the type of kid I was, how it started back then.
So, yeah, my daughter about that same age, when she was in school, she'd make draw little things and sell cards to her friends so they can give them to their family. So she was already on her journey when she was like 5 or 6 years old, first and second grade. So yeah,
I
6,
love
7.
it.
So she had that same stuff. So when you said
Awesome.
that, I just started laughing too. So that's awesome. We got another
I
question.
know, but it's just yeah, go for it.
All right. At Alex Not Trebek, how did your journey of stepping away from a 7-figure software empire lead you to this realization? And how do you help others discover and monetize their true calling?
I think that for me, the my software company. Okay, so let me just kind of answer that question because I think it's going to help a lot of people. In life, we do things because we think that's the right thing to do. I thought that, running a software company was my calling. It was so far away from my calling. However, it was a part of the story, right? It was a part of Steve Jobs says connect your dots back to front, not front to back. It was absolutely divinely orchestrated. I was meant to own that software company. I just wasn't meant to stay in it. It was overbearing just from the standpoint of the amount of energy that it just consumed from me. Now, that's for a lot of reasons, but at the end of the day, that when you fall apart in your own business, then that to me indicates that you're not in the right place. Okay. So that's to answer that question. It was actually really easy for me to transition out, by the way. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm letting go of my baby. You know, I built this from ground up. I did what I had to do, and it was time to move on. But the key was not that. The key was actually taking that 12-month sabbatical and really, really going deep inside myself and asking myself, and my relationship with God, where do I go from now? Like, what do I do now? Like, what's my next logical step? I don't know what to do for the rest of my life. I had 2 little babies at the time, like I was, you could call it confused, but I really was lost more than confused. Um, so that time that I took apart was the best thing that I could have done for myself, because then from there I was then able to piece all what I do today in this academy didn't take one day or 1 month. From 2012, I then spent the next 2-3 years actually building out this academy, and it has evolved enormously. But I did not want just information. I really wanted to bring my background into this academy so I can actually teach others what I know how to do, and that is build systems, or systems design thinking, so that everything in their business has outcomes and results, and that's my passion. So I don't think that anyone can tell anyone, oh, you can create a 7-figure, academy, or you can create a 7-figure coaching business. That is absolutely not true, because my experience is not somebody else's experience. And I spoke about the glass, being full and overflowing. That plays a significant role in the success that we bring into this world. But the key to all of this is I activated my core gifts. I activated my natural state of being. And that for me is priceless. Waking up every day knowing that what I am doing is what I'm meant to be doing and that comes natural to me, that's where we need to go, because from there, everything just takes care of itself.
Outstanding. That's an awesome answer. And again, I think you hit the nail on the head for the question. And you've really been giving a lot of knowledge within 42 minutes. I'm sure people are getting almost PhD level lessons from you here, if they're acknowledging it and writing stuff down, or just come back and watch the recording again. So thank you for that. What we usually do here on the Misfit Nation is, as we head towards the end, we ask you, our guest, our spotlight, to give 3 things our audience can do start tomorrow, to make them successful in the entrepreneurial field, since that's your area of expertise.
The first thing that I would do is start what I call the internal inventory, the unpacking process. You have to understand what your experiences actually look like in language. You have to write it out. It's all about an unpacking process, because when you can do that, then you can actually, for yourself, start to see, oh my God, all these experiences are not just a thing of the past or a memory of the past. They actually have a purpose in my future self. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I encourage everybody, and I mean everybody, to go into that place of silence. I cannot stress this enough. And not only go into that place of silence, but you ask yourself, if there's anything that happened to you today that has triggered you, that has caused any unrest, emotional challenges, or limiting thoughts and beliefs, that is a sign that you're carrying information that is actually holding you back. It needs to be acknowledged and it needs to be unpacked. Once you identify that, you might say, oh, I really got jealous because Jenny, got her first 5-figure client and I'm still waiting around. If you have jealousy or envy, that's something that lives in your body. It's an energy, it's a block. It must be released, because it manifests into something bigger. Once you acknowledge it and declare it, then you need to sit with it and feel it in your body. It's going to be painful, but you need to learn how to become comfortable being uncomfortable. And then what I do, Rich, is I do like 10 minutes of breathing in and out, in and out, in and out, just to get it out, move the energy out of your body. That's the second thing you need to do. And the third thing that I would do is, if you are already an entrepreneur and you're thinking, I really want to transition into this model where I'm selling self-study programs over one-on-one, then what you do need is a well thought out strategy. This is not a hit or miss. It's not a reactive strategy. It's not something that you can glue together. You really need to go through that process that I was explaining before, where you need to understand your foundation, your core foundation, your avatars, the customer journey. All of this has to be well thought through because they all integrate together. So that, and you need to start thinking about that, like start to unpack those 5 things. What does my customer journey look like? Who are my avatars? Who needs this complex problem solved? Go deep and unpack a web that already lies within us. Like, we don't even need the external validation. You've already got it. It's just understanding that process.
Outstanding. Mary, thank you for that. Thank you for everything you taught us tonight. If the audience wants to get in contact with you to either pick your brain like I have tonight or maybe hire you or get you on their show, what's the best way to contact you?
Oh, please email me, mary@maryhendersoncoaching.com. You can get me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at Mary Henderson Coaching.
Awesome. Thank you again for taking some of your time tomorrow to hang out with us and give us some tips, tricks, and share your vast knowledge. It's been awesome. Thank you, and I wish you nothing but the best in the future.
Thank you, Rich. Thanks for having me.
Have a good day.
This is a message from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Got a question about your VA benefits, healthcare, or eligibility? Go to va.gov, where you can access a new interactive chatbot to ask questions 24/7. One can still browse va.gov for information, but you can now ask specific questions to the chatbot, like what's the PACT Act? How do I apply for disability benefits? What's my claim status? You can access the new feature through va.gov's Contact Us page. Then click on the Start Chat button. The chatbot will continue to improve veterans' access to information about the benefits and services they've earned. This is one way VA is offering seamless and secure access to its online resources.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.